Welcome to the Radical Responsibility Revolution podcast. This is where we are transforming lives, inspiring you to reclaim your health, your wealth, and the power of your mind. Here we share actionable insights, inviting you to turn inwards and design your life of purpose and abundance. Welcome back to a special episode of Radical Responsibility Revolution. And the reason that I wanted to do this special episode is because today is the beginning of the Advent. It's a religious ritual, but it's really the sacred art of waiting. And so I wanted to begin this Advent period between now and Christmas, or the celebration of the 25th of December, and explain what this means for you in a metaphysical term and from a perspective of when you are manifesting something magical. So let's begin by something a little cheeky, because you know I love being cheeky. Advent is basically the universe saying, sweetheart, stop trying to microwave your miracles, because that's what we're doing. We have lost this ability to sit in the stillness and wait for the unfolding of what it is that we say we desire. So this season has been celebrated for millennia, and the idea is that it's holy expectancy. And we in the modern day, especially women, we're horrible at waiting. Horrible, because we're going so fast. How can we even think of waiting for anything? Because we have to get to the next place like now. So we do things like we track our packages. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how many times I've sat on the Federal Express site to see where my package is. We track men. We track our DoorDash and our Ubers. And we will try to microwave anything. Our food, for sure, but we want to microwave our businesses. We want it instantly. We want to pop it in and say, come out right away. We microwave our relationships. And now we're trying to microwave our breakthroughs, our healing, our timelines. And if there were a 90-second setting for spiritual transformation, we'd press it twice like an elevator button. You see, tracking our becoming is something that we have learned to avoid at all costs. But Advent, this beautiful time, we are right now in this moment, this metaphysical season of becoming, does not operate on Instacart timing. It doesn't do same day delivery. It doesn't text you with shipping updates. Advent is divine gestation. It is the womb of our desires. It is the holy holding pattern where God whispers, let me finish forming what you're praying for. And there's a lovely priest by the name of Mike Schmitz. He's created a series called Waiting Well, because we don't wait well. We are so busy getting to the next thing. We're waiting in traffic, not well. We're waiting for the Federal Express to care, not well. We're waiting for the client to call us back. We're not waiting well. Our true state of beingness, that's what it is. We don't wait in traffic. We don't wait for our text messages. And we sure as hell don't wait for God. And we definitely don't wait for our becoming. And Advent is precisely that, this sacred spiritual invitation to wait, not passively though, but actively, intentionally, expectantly. So today I want to dive into why this season is the most magical frequency on earth. And so many people are practicing it. And I want you to really tap into that frequency, because if you let yourself experience it, miracles happen. So let's just be honest. Waiting is basically a spiritual CrossFit class. Really. You would think that we were doing a major CrossFit workout when it comes to waiting, because it stretches every part of you that wants to control, that needs certainty, that needs proof. And of course, we want a timeline and a guaranteed delivery date. But Advent isn't about waiting for something external. It's about waiting for who you are becoming.
And it's not passive waiting. It's not twiddling your thumbs. This is not staring at the sky like, hello, God, any updates? Tracking number, please? Advent is active waiting. And active waiting is staying awake, staying available, being conscious, staying so soft and receptive, staying hopeful, aligned with that person that you are becoming, and open. Active waiting means you don't rush the seed, you don't keep digging it up, you certainly don't argue with the soil, and you're not screaming at the dark. You're honoring the becoming. Because this womb of transformation, of becoming, is not passive. It is the most creative, active force on earth. And yet, from the outside, it looks like stillness. And this is why Advent is so metaphysical. This whole season mirrors the spiritual physics of manifestation. Everything important is formed in the unseen before it is revealed. If we just really tap into that, it just is so life altering. So let's talk metaphysics since I use that word so much. Advent is not simply the countdown to Christmas. A lot of us have experienced the Advent calendar. I knew we grew up on it, and it's a calendar with little boxes that open up, and every day in Advent you open a box and a present is there. It's not just this countdown to Christmas though. It's the countdown to your next identity. Just really begin to embrace that. We're on this journey in the 40 days together, and this is setting the stage, setting the table for 2026. So this is the countdown starting right now to this next identity, to this evolved version of you, this enlightened you, this version of you that is the most authentic person that you could ever imagine. It is the sacred pause before that version of you emerges fully orbed, that God has been forming. She's now stepping into the light. It's the moment the universe says, will you trust me behind the curtain? Because that's where the work is being done. And most people, most of us, bless us all, we want the curtain yanked open before anything is ready. Remember the Wizard of Oz? It was so much more magical when the wizard was behind the curtain. But the metaphysical truth is this: every divine birth requires a divine gestation. Every answered prayer requires preparation. And every expansion requires stillness. So Advent is this 4-week portal where we remember how God works in these beautiful whispers of intuition, in small beginnings and acknowledging the gratitude, in quiet places and moments, in hidden spaces that we never thought to look into, in the depth of our hearts. And because this is a season of expectancy, it asks you to participate in your unfolding, to let go of the hustle, to let go of the force, to let go of the pressure that you put upon yourself, and most of all, let go of the panic. It asks instead that you participate through contemplation and prayer and silence and journaling and surrender and letting God rearrange what needs to be rearranged inside of you. Now, I will say, there is sacred discomfort in these shifts, in that waiting, because we don't wait well. So let's get into the part no one likes to talk about. This pain of Advent. Waiting doesn't just stretch us, it exposes us to ourselves. It surfaces all of those things that look like fears, our old identity, impatience for sure, but also that illusion of control that we have none, a belief that we're behind, that so interesting pressure to perform. And of course, there is always that thing called the need to prove. Advent forces us to stop distracting ourselves with busy work and actually sit with our hearts. And my friends, for most people, that's really uncomfortable. We like to outrun our emotions. We like to outwork our healing. We like to hustle ourselves away from the truth. But Advent whispers, sit, be still, let what is arising arise. And that is where the transformation is. Because the waiting season is where the ego panics and the soul prepares. It's where the old identity dissolves, but the new identity isn't visible yet. So there's this messy middle. It's where the light hasn't arrived, but the darkness is not empty. It's full of possibility. This is the magic and the ache of Advent. The ache of Advent. You are becoming someone new and you can feel it, but you just can't see it yet. I call Advent the feminine frequency because this is where I want you to go deeper. Advent is a profoundly feminine spiritual rhythm. The masculine in us wants linear timelines. Have you noticed that? Clear outcomes, instant results. And here is the key. The feminine in us understands that life unfolds in cycles, seasons, spirals, and this beautiful sacred gestation. Advent is divine feminine energy at its highest frequency. So when you practice making space, you release what is cluttering your heart. You set down the burdens. You stop trying to hold it all together. You actually create room for the light to come in. And then in this Advent, we practice expectancy. This is not hoping because hoping says I don't really believe it. This is knowing that God is working even when I cannot see it. Expectancy is calibrating your frequency to the miracle that already exists in this invisible. And during this Advent, there's a practice of listening. The whispers get louder. Your intuition sharpens. The still small voice becomes your true GPS. This is not a season of rushing. It's a season of receiving guidance. And then during Advent, there is the practice of identity preparation. The question of Advent is not, what do you want for Christmas or holidays or anything like that? The question is, what is the gift of who you are becoming? What version of you is being knit together as a gift in the waiting? What new identity is forming? What old story must be laid to rest? What new story must be embraced? Because Advent is not preparing the world around you. Advent is preparing you. So how do we put this in a bow with what I call radical responsibility, which is the essence of this podcast? Advent is the most powerful season for radical responsibility because waiting is not passive. It's participation. And how do you participate? You take responsibility during this time to be aware of your thoughts, to be aware of your frequency, to be aware of your inner peace and your habits, Become aware of when you surrender and when you take charge and hold on. Become aware of when you are aligned. And most of all, take stock of your readiness, because you cannot control God's timing, but you can control your availability to receive. This is true radical responsibility. So Advent says, prepare yourself and trust that the miracle is already on the way. We have to be prepared to become what we say we desire. So I want to leave you with a blessing for this Advent season. May you find peace in the pause, even when the pause feels endless. It's just a feeling. It will pass. May you discover that the darkness is not a punishment, but a womb. Think of it as a sacred womb that knew you. May you trust that the version of you you're becoming is already forming quietly, beautifully, perfectly in the unseen. And may you wait with expectancy, not urgency. May you surrender the timeline and hold the promise. May you make space for the light that is already on its way. And may your heart remember that you are not just waiting for God. God is waiting for you to become the one who can receive the gift of you. Receive the gift of what you've been praying for. This is Advent, the sacred season where heaven whispers, my child, prepare yourself. The light is coming. Thank you. Have an amazing Advent.